SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo, Yamaha revs your heart, and by FXR Racing, world-class outerwear.
In the summer, the town of West Yellowstone, Montana is a busy little community packed with tourists and adventure seekers of every persuasion. But in the winter, this town changes entirely. When you first cross into the city limits, the town almost seems empty. Many stores and restaurants are closed for the winter, but this absolutely does not mean the town is quiet. Quite the contrary. Winter in West Yellowstone is all about snowmobiling, and the businesses that stay open all season long are extremely snowmobile friendly. The town itself has all the amenities you could possibly need to stay as long as you could possibly want. Groomers are out every night cleaning up the vast network of trails. Record snowfalls dump regularly in the backcountry, and the back streets in town are not plowed to bare pavement, so sledders can ride right from their hotel to the trailhead. During my travels around the world, I've seen some incredibly beautiful places. I've also met some interesting people with very unique stories. It's quite common to find two of these story aspects in one location, but rarely do you ever find all three. So finding Brandy and Brad Loomis in West Yellowstone during the winter came as a bit of a surprise. These are people whose stories have revolved around backcountry riding in West Yellowstone their entire lives.
27 years ago, my father kind of had a wish of having a family business, and at that time I was not doing anything special.
I met Brad in West Yellowstone through several mutual friends, and then we became friends, and he asked me to work in the shop for him, and our friendship grew from there. Riding snowmobiles gives us the opportunity to spend more time together, to go out and challenge each other in a positive way.
Brandy and Brad don't just ride in West Yellowstone though. Their love of backcountry riding did bring them here, but then one thing led to another.
When I first moved to West Yellowstone, I enjoyed the area, so I decided to set my roots down and continue to get to know the area better, and that's when I met Brad.
We were friends, she worked for me, and that friendship developed into a relationship, and 15 years ago is when we got married.
It's one thing to live in a place like this, but to actually stay, you gotta work. But these guys didn't just want to do the regular 9 to 5. They had different plans in mind.
We have the Days Inn here, then across the street we have Polaris West dealership, snowmobile rental, snow coach, and also gas station.
Our Days Inn motel fits perfectly with our snowmobile rental business because we can create winter packages for you. So we can create a week-long package, 5 days in a motel and 5 days of snowmobiling. We can take you on a trip into Yellowstone National Park. Our snowmobile rental and Polaris dealership give us the opportunity to do what we love every day.
I've never been able to fully explore all the backcountry riding opportunities West Yellowstone has to offer. So Brandy and Brad agreed to take me to one of their favorite locations and give me an authentic West Yellowstone backcountry experience.
One of the great benefits of living in West Yellowstone is the easy accessibility to the trails. So you can leave right from our store down the city streets and hit the trail system within just a couple blocks. Today we're headed to the south side of Two Top Mountain. So we'll take the trail system for a ways, and then we will get off the trail, cut through some trees, do a little backcountry riding, and end up on the top of the mountain.
I ride in the backcountry a few times every season at different locations, but this experience with Brandy and Brad was completely different. There's no ego here, and surprisingly, there's no competition between the two of them. They ride the backcountry because they love it, and that's it.
I love riding the backcountry because it's as easy or as challenging as you want to make it be. There's nothing like doing a side hill, challenging yourself, or just blasting across a meadow.
Being able to ride together makes it a better or sweeter opportunity because we get to both go. So when we have the opportunity to go together, it's great, but we also have the opportunity to go individually also.
Brandy and Brad aren't just your average rental operators. They are legit backcountry riders who are able to take me places I probably would never have tried to go if they didn't show me first. And once we got off the beaten path, farther out into the West Yellowstone backcountry, the reasons people like Brandy and Brad love this place so much really started to become clear. Riding out here is spectacular. The views are incredible and the terrain is as technical or as mellow as you want it to be. When people hear the name West Yellowstone, the first thing that usually comes to mind is Old Faithful and slow tours through the park. But the truth is, West Yellowstone is so much more than that to a real snowmobile enthusiast.
Some of the myths or misinformation about West Yellowstone that we run into frequently is it's closed. We believe that Yellowstone National Park is closed to accessibility and therefore the town of West Yellowstone is closed. But West Yellowstone is open. We welcome any and every ability of rider.
There's plenty of miles of groomed trails if that's what you like, or there's a lot of backcountry.
If you truly want to refer to yourself as a snowmobile enthusiast, you have to ride Yellowstone. Get hooked up with a good rental outfit like Travelers and get out in the mountains. Just be warned though, backcountry riding in a place like West Yellowstone, Montana is addictive and you will spend the rest of your life longing to come back for more. Anyone who calls themselves a true snowmobile fanatic has to have either ridden in the mountains or at the very least have plans to go ride there at some point in their career. Here's the problem. Riding in the backcountry requires some very specific skills. Skills your average flatland rider probably doesn't have. Yet. Luckily, many professional mountain and backcountry experts have made it their job to teach the rest of us how to ride when it's steep and deep. Amber Holt, factory Arctic Cat backcountry rider, is a prime example.
I started Backcountry Basics in 2008. I came from a background of about 20 years in instruction, and it started out as just a way to get people on the snow on designated free time, and it transpired into a career. Backcountry Basics is what we call a closed range type of instruction. It's a very detailed instruction and we teach in a conservative aspect of terrain, basically an open field with an 8% grade of terrain for hillside maneuvers, where we go through a series of drills explaining skills in detail and letting the riders learn full aspects of how a rider and a sled work together to become a fluid backcountry rider.
Keep it right on the optimal point of pivot angle, and then I'd have to turn my skis downhill to overcome the bulkhead area.
This past season while I was in West Yellowstone, I had a chance to meet Amber, and I was really curious to find out what her teaching methods are all about. But since I already have a pretty solid understanding of riding in the backcountry, I thought it would be helpful to bring along someone who could actually benefit from her instruction.
I really felt coming out to Backcountry Basics was going to be beneficial to me because I am an accomplished rider on the trails. But when we come out to West Yellowstone or any mountain area, you don't want to be just limited to the trails. You want to be able to ride the backcountry, the meadows, the mountains. And what happens is that often you get up in there and it becomes gusto and muscle in terms of how you think you need to manage that mountain. And what happens is you get stuck. What I wanted to accomplish today was to figure out the skills so I don't get stuck.
I've ridden with Vern hundreds of times. We work together and at the end of the day, we're friends. So I know from experience, Vern could definitely use some help when it comes to keeping his sled moving in the trees.
Our time with Amber was limited today, so we really needed to sort of just bite off as much as we could chew. And what I really wanted to focus on today was two areas. One was riding with my opposite foot forward. And the other element that I wanted to learn better was how to come down a hill on a grade and do a 180 and get back up that hill. And it was a success. Amber was able to break down those elements to the point where we worked it from the flat area in the meadow. We gradually moved over to the side hill, built those areas up where we were confident, and then we gradually got down to an area where we were doing that 180 turn with the opposite foot forward.
Everyone learns differently, but having a method of teaching that will work for everyone is what separates a good instructor from a great one. Amber has figured out a very good method that not only worked for Vern, but also worked for me.
You know, there's two ways that I've noticed people to instruct people. One is show as I do, which doesn't often work. The other form, which is really successful, is the method what Amber teaches. And that's where she breaks things down into components and elements. And they sort of layer, where they're sort of stepping stones, where you build on certain skill levels. And as you build those skill levels, it becomes more intuitive in how you interact with the snowmobile than sort of muscling and forcing the sled into what you think it should do.
The number one fundamental skill that riders really struggle with when they come to me, and myself included, is keeping their head up when they're riding, looking ahead. And the second thing is throttle control. Most riders that come to me do not fully understand throttle control and how to manipulate it to have fluid riding. And when you understand your throttle, you're never in doubt. You know exactly what your sled is going to do.
The most surprising thing I learned during the time Vern and I spent with Amber was just how many little things I was either doing wrong or was doing in a way that required a lot more effort.
Look, I would just make it so that that leg is a little straighter.
When you come to West Yellowstone, you're coming here to experience a moment of a lifetime. Now, you can either get the full experience, or you can come away a little bit frustrated saying, maybe next time I'm going to do that better. One of the best things to do in order to get the best experience, make that investment in time and money. Take a course with Amber a couple days prior to you heading out into the mountain with your buddies riding. Learn the basics so that when you do get up into that high country, you're doing everything right. You come away with the best experience and the least sore muscles.
If there was one thing for 2014 that this industry did not see coming, it'd have to be the supply agreement between Arctic Cat and Yamaha that involves both motors and chassis. Did Yamaha need to make a big move to keep buyers interested in coming back to their 5-star dealers to buy new iron? Absolutely. Was a strategic partnership the right way to go? Well, for that answer, only time is going to tell. But for today, I've got my gloves on, ready to send the 2014 SR Viper through its paces. So put away your preconceived notions and get ready for the most interesting sled of 2014. Have you ever wondered what a nitro would feel like with the motor lower in the chassis, the weight decreased, and the ergonomic suspension and riding package completely fitting like a glove? Well, you're not alone, and this year, it's called an SR Viper. The Genesis 135 Fi is a powerhouse of torque. I've said it year in and year out about the Nitro, and it's even truer in the SR chassis. What I always knew the 135 Fi could be is reality in this sled. Torque for days, sporty lightweight characteristics, and the lower center of gravity Yamaha needed to address in other sleds. This truly is a match made in snowmo heaven. If you really want to find out just how venomous the new Viper is, giving the throttle a good squeeze from a low roll-on is going to give you just about all you can handle. The Camoplast Ripsaw 2 137-inch track grabs the ground with force, and thanks to the floating front arm design of the DualShock SR 137, the skis stay light but not uncontrollable. I've never seen a 137-inch floating front arm skid, but I'm sure glad it's here for 2014, because in this sled, it works perfectly. The rear skid of the Viper gives you just the right amount of adjustability to fine-tune this sled to your ride, but it doesn't have options like compression and rebound adjustability. But I don't really mind that so much, because usually compression and rebound will end up getting you a worse ride in the end if you don't know exactly what you're doing. With dual aluminum-bodied rebuildable high-pressure gas shocks, the components are up to the task, and thanks to a threaded preload adjuster on the front arm and a 3-way triangular cam-style rear torsion spring adjuster, you'll be able to dial this skid in to your rider weight and preferred suspension sag. The rough stuff is where this skid truly shines, and it proves that a sub 140-inch suspension is exactly where the performance crossover segment needs to be. Absolutely mowing through bumps, the SR 137 blows me away with its ability to settle out even the harshest trail junk. Bottoming on the geodes occasionally lets me know I'm using all the available travel. Likewise, the chatter bumps that seem to torment 141 and 144-inch skids and rattle my kidneys are settled down and seem to almost fade away as you roll on more power. The rear suspension of any snowmobile can only be as good as the front suspension allows it to be, and by no means does this front end disappoint. Outfitted with Fox Float 2s, the ultra-tall, lightweight spindles meshed to the swept-back triangulated A-arms provide a very precise handling chassis. The steering system is simple and light and delivers a very on-center feel when tracking down the trail. In corners, the sled delivers a slight amount of push, but stays controlled, feeling less locked into the trail than a Skidoo and more similar to a Polaris. Power steering is not needed on this Yamaha sled that truly requires very little input to net the results you want when you're steering on or off the trail. Pulling off the trail with this sled is different than any other Yamaha of the past, where you don't actually feel the weight of the sled way up high in the chassis. If you have the snow depth to dip your elbows in the powder, you'll soon realize just how much potential this sled has with the Genesis motor that absolutely rips in this type of terrain thanks to the huge torque produced. This truly is one of the most well-rounded Yamaha sleds that I've ever ridden. Put all of the speculation and comments about the supply agreement with Arctic Cat aside, and this is a heck of a good sled. The features list on the Viper LTX SE I tested today include push-button reverse, yep, that's correct, no more finicky shift lever, electric start, full-featured digital gauge, sporty and aggressive low windshield, rear tunnel storage bag, and a graphics and coloration package that in my opinion is absolutely the best-looking sled on snow. In particular for me, the blue and white version I tested today. While there are going to be a lot of questions about what the SR Viper truly is, I'm here to tell you it's a Yamaha at heart, it's powered by a Yamaha motor, and it just might be the sweetest sled on the trails this season.
Snow during the winter months is inevitable. The white stuff allows us to get out and go snowmobiling, ice fishing, and a whole bunch of other winter activities that we love doing during the colder months of the year. But it does pose a problem for certain types of vehicles. ATVs and side-by-sides have incredible potential in the winter months. Whether it be traveling to the ice fishing hole, riding ATV-specific trails, or most often plowing snow around the house, we have all kinds of uses for our wheeled transportation when ice and snow abound. But traction has always been the issue. Woodies, a snowmobile traction and control company, has come up with a new product called twist screws that allows anything with tires to be able to get a grip quickly, easily, and cost-effectively. In most cases for around $150 to $250, including the installation tool. The twist screw is pretty much what it sounds like. A screw that twists into the tread of your tires, but features a small tip of carbide to give ultimate traction. Today I'm going to install 25 twist screws per tire in this Kubota diesel, just to show you how much traction the twist screws truly can offer. And I'm going to use this icy skid pad to depict a worst case traction scenario and see just what these twist screws truly can do. To actually explain to you the installation process would almost be insulting. If you can use a screwdriver, you can install twist screws. So let's get down to business and see just how capable these little screws truly are. To aid in traction, 25 screws per tire is the minimum recommended by Woodies for a light-duty vehicle like this. 50 is recommended for a medium-duty, while a heavy-duty vehicle is suggested to have 75 per tire. Now I think 25 is going to be more than enough to significantly change the way this vehicle works on the icy skid pad. So that's how many I'm going to install on each corner. First up, I'm going to test stopping power. My first run at 10 miles per hour. The screen on the top shows the Kubota with twist screws. The screen on the bottom without. Second run is 15 miles per hour on the skid pad. Again, the screen on your top shows with twist screws and the screen on the bottom is without. It's pretty visual just how much the twist screws do at higher speeds, but the truth is if you're crawling out to your ice fish hut or plowing the driveway, you're probably not going to be going all that fast. So let's see what the twist screws can do at low speed throttle tip-in and acceleration. For this test, I'm going to simply accelerate from a standstill on an icy road simulation. Not only did the twist screws increase initial traction, but allowed us to mitigate easy on-ice turns without any worry. Woodies twist screws just plain old work. Not only do they increase drivability and functionality at the lowest recommended number of studs, they also increase safety. Typically you can't put a price on safety, but with Woodies twist screws, you can, and it's extremely economical.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Terrain Domination, Arctic Cat, share our passion, and by Go Ride Ontario, yours to discover.